finally back with the ED. I've been down since my last video, and I put a new wastegate in, and melted 2 throttle cables due to the heat from the dump pipe. And then after I put the new wastegate in, I developed another exhaust manifold leak. So I think the actual log manifold is a bit warped from welding when it was made. So I think I'm going to get rid of it and do one of the J-pipe ideas from Spool and Boost, use the original manifold. And the one that's currently on it, I will have that machined when it's off and keep that aside for my next project, for whenever that goes ahead, which might be forever. But for now, I have myself a new rising rate adjustable fuel pressure regulator and a gauge for it so I can get base pressure. Once the new wastegate went in, I could only make 1 pound, and I think it's just due to the fucking exhaust manifold gasket blowing through again. Now I know these can be dangerous if you be silly with them, but I got myself a boost controller to wind up very slowly to see, even just for now, if I can try to get at least a couple more PSI manifold pressure. So my last trip was just very underwhelming. Felt like I took a step backwards, so I didn't end up getting any videos. But I'm back here now. I've got a third throttle cable in with some heat shield on it this time. And I've also bought this this stuff to try to make a bit of a heat shield for the brake master cylinder and like the coolant thing. But yeah, hopefully this time I'll actually make some progress. And actually I'm up at the moment. I'm about to go up to my mate's place who is a mechanic, and we're gonna chuck the car up and put some coilovers in, which is pretty exciting. And I will probably do the regulator as well today and fiddle with the boost controller. There's the new throttle cable in this heat shield stuff. Unfortunately, you need this big diameter because the actual connectors on either end don't come off, so you need something with a large enough diameter to slip over the end connections. But I might do something about trying to tidy that up a little bit, but because it looks a bit silly. I got these because they were cheap on eBay, and I thought, because race car and because everything's already red, so just go with red, because red and blue totally work together. This is what happens to throttle cables near the dump pipe. The outer casing melts and collapses, and then it doesn't snap the cable, but you lose that much adjustment in the cable, basically. So your foot has to go all the way to the floor before you'll get even 2,000 revs. I got up to 80 kilometers an hour when that happened, foot to the floor. And I thought the original one was just no good, so I swapped it out with the one from the EB. And this is actually the one from the EB. And the exact same thing happened in the exact same spot. And these cables are worth $110 new, so I got one from a Wreckers for 25 bucks, and I thought we'll get some heat shield and see if I can make it last. Yeah, I've also decided I might be swapping this out with something that's a bit smaller. I think it's just a little bit too big, and then yeah, this is going to be replaced probably quite soon, but I'm going to wait till I replace this to see exactly what piping I need. Focus. I also bought these. Got these in Melbourne on the way down from a BA/XR6. So the leather ones, I got the 2 fronts. It's got a lot of wear marks, which they all do after a few years. It's got a wicked Brembo sticker, which will come off. And of course this trim You can't really see it past the sticker, but it's got a crack along this trim like every BA and BF ever has. Yeah, the driver's side, which is this one, is actually, you know, electric. It's missing the switch. I don't know if it had that when I picked it up. It was dark. I don't remember. It's probably fallen off just outside somewhere. But I don't know if I'm going to try to rig this up so, like, because that just adjusts like the seat base. Obviously it still slides forwards and backwards with the normal rail, and then like still, you know, has those to adjust the back. So it's not really necessary to have that connected, but if I could figure out exactly what wires do what in here, I could get it rigged up, which would be kind of cool. Otherwise I'm not too worried about it for now. Yeah, apparently these front mounts should line up. One of the back ones is just a little bit off to the side, and one of the back mounts sits way too high, so people put like a 2-inch spacer in. But it's only got 4 bolts to take the actual seat off the base with a rail, so I might try to rip that off and then get one of the front seats out of the EB and see if I can, like, obviously it's not going to bolt straight on without some custom brackets, but I think I'd rather modify the way the seat bolts onto the rail rather than modify the way the rail bolts to the floor. So hopefully I can figure something out, and although they're not in the nicest condition, but they were very cheap. And I wanted Fairmont ones that didn't have the embroidery. I don't want the XR on there, but oh well. Not too bad for 110 bucks for both. I also got a console lid to play with, which he chucked in for free because it was a bit damaged. I was going to see if I could make a BA console lid fit in the ED, and I've kind of pulled the two apart because they're both fucked anyway. But it might give me an idea of whether or not it's worth buying another one to play with. I can't be bothered with that for now anyway. Okay, time to swap out the fuel pressure regulator. That's a new one I've got ready to go in with a gauge. That's the stock one. But I didn't take into account that it has this threaded fitting with a nut on there. So what I'm going to try to do is just get some of this hose, the same fuel line that I've been using for everything ever. I've also put a boost controller in to, because I've got a manifold gasket leak. That wastegate's opening, well, I'm not making boost, but it sounds like the wastegate's opening like really early, like before 2000 revs. It sounds like it's fully open. So I could get a max of 1 PSI. So I've wound up the boost controller a little bit, and I've got 4 PSI. But because I'm still learning, originally I didn't know that I needed a different fuel pressure regulator, considering I've got the boost map tune, and I've gone bigger injectors, bigger fuel pump. I thought I didn't need a bigger fuel pressure regulator because, well, I just didn't know. So I'm figuring shit out as I go, but here we are. I don't want to wait around till I can try to get a fitting for this, so what I'm going to try to do is just use this same fuel hose that I'm using for everything. Go over here, although this is pretty massive compared to the internal diameter of that. Better make sure that crap's cleaned up a bit. But right now it's pretty tight, so I'm just going to go stick it in front of the heater for a bit because it is freezing cold outside, and heat it up real good, and then I might be able to get it on there. And then it's a matter of finding a spot to mount this, but if I'm lucky I might be able to just use the same mounting position, although you won't really be able to see the gauge there. Kinda. I'll figure it out. Yeah. Should one of these holes slightly larger, so it will fit that same bolt, so it can go in the same location that it did beforehand. looks messy, but it worked fantastic. Unfortunately, this is like the factory return line, and no matter how tight I put this, it's leaking from here. No matter how tight I put this, it leaks from here. Tried 2 clamps just as a last resort, but even now, actually, yeah, you can still spin the hose on there, no matter how tight you put the clamps. So I need some new fittings for the inlet and outlet on the actual regulator itself. The T-piece has like 5 barbs on it, and when these are really tight, that seals well. Was leaking here and around here, and just tighten them up, and it's fine now there. But unfortunately, these fittings, it's just got a single barbed end, and it's just too thin. Might work better on a smaller engine that has slightly smaller fuel lines, but yeah, no good. So I'm just going to get some new fittings for these, but for now I've got no choice but to put the stock regulator back on and swap it back another day. Good fun. So that's the original exhaust manifold. If you get the Spawn Boost J pipe, just bolts on here. You just need to have this little section machined off so it's perfectly flat. So bolts on there, and comes back up with a T3 flange, and down here somewhere there'll be a 38mm wastegate port. I gotta say, even with like a leaking exhaust manifold, it's actually quite bad now. It sounds like shit. But yeah, even with the leaking exhaust manifold and my PVC intercooler piping is like, when I touch it right near the turbine, it's like soft. It's not like dripping melted or anything, but it's like really soft. But even so, I've probably got a boost leak there, but this thing just feels like really torquey now. It just seems to pull nicely. So yeah, all these teething issues with fucking, the blasting through 2 fucking manifold gaskets is pretty damn annoying. Even so, the fact that it does feel good to drive is making me happy.